Well, good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, there's some bright light hitting me from one side, so it's afternoon. Anyway, Michael Soothing here, and I wanted to show you what I did and what I got for my birthday. A little bit of show and tell. I got many text and phone call messages and emails and things, so I appreciated all of those sentiments. And then we went down to a town today called Bandon, and I did some agate hunting on the beach. Some of you know I like to do that from time to time because I love geological specimens, and I save up these things for tumbling later to put in an aquarium or something like that, or make displays. Let me just show you some of the things that we did today, places we went, if it shows up. I'm gonna do this the lazy way and just show you on my camera. So there's the lighthouse in Bandon. It's pretty nice, eh? It was a beautiful day, not raining today. The way it is sometimes. That's the kind of the yacht harbor there, as you can see. And this is one of the streets with all the shops and things. Guys, this would be a good town to take your wife or girlfriend to. They would like it. Now there's a place there called Cranberry Sweets. And at that store, you can get free samples of all different kinds of goodies. See, this is like some of the things on the shelves, but let me show you. Oh, look, there's Chelsea checking out the store right there. That's a better shot of her checking out the store. In fact, like, here's some of the free samples. Yummy berry soft centers around chocolate that you get to eat without paying. Oh, those are funny refrigerator magnets. Let's read the one of the blonde, if you can read it. I think it says, "If it's the thought that counts, I should probably be in jail." I think those are funny, all those kinds of refrigerator magnets. I'm not going to read you all of them, but there were several humorous ones. There's some more free samples. St. Patrick's Day mint chocolate and something else there. And all kinds of other goodies. This is the kind of the gelatinized free samples of lollaberry and cranberry and boysenberry and every kind of berry that you can think of. When you were a kid, did you think they were called poison berries? Because that's what I thought until I was about 8 years old. Anyway, so I didn't want to have any, all free sugary samples that someone like myself should not eat. What else did we do? Did I show you the lighthouse? I think I did. Yep, memory, Well, I went into a store that had many geological specimens, and you can see there different kinds of rocks and agates and things that are interesting. Here is the place where we had lunch. Wait a minute, this is supposed to be bigger so you can see it. There's the place that we had lunch. And they have the yummiest fish and chips and clams, clam strips and chips, and calamari and chips that you can imagine. It's very good, but it leaves you pretty full, so I think next time we'll go with like splitting an order, instead of having an entire one. Some of the waterfront shops, very colorful and everything. So, anyway, that was today's excursion. I also went to a lake. And there's if you're ever in Bandon, down by the waterfront, this is the place from a different angle. Fish and chips chowder house. Very yummy. I recommend it. Yeah, so there's more on there, but I don't want to bore you like a travelogue, even though this is meant to bore you to sleep. That squawking and honking is once again the Canada geese flying overhead. It's mating season, and they make quite a racket when the males are chasing the females around. Or is it the other way around? No, I think it's usually the male that has to chase the female, just like in human courtship, right? It's generally the male that sometimes the girl makes the move, but usually the guy is expected to, ask for the phone number and for the first date and all that kind of thing. Oh, speaking of the cranberry sweets, we did buy something there besides just eating the free samples. Because it's kind of sleazy to go in and eat, 8 free samples and not buy anything. So I haven't had any of this yet, but Chelsea got these yummy, they're like flavored natural honey liquid nectar strip things. You bite the end and slowly suck the juice out of it. And there's a couple different flavors of those. And then what I bought was this hazelnut brittle right there. So I'm going to check that out later. And yeah. Then I got a card in the mail. And so one of my gifts is one of these scratchers, this poker. And you scratch the dealer's hand off the top, and then you can scratch all of these hands that you get. And if you have a winning hand that beats the dealer, then you can scratch off and see what prize you got over here. See if that one was a winner. And then there's even a multiplier, a bonus chip that might be just 1, which means you just get that prize, or it might be double, like 2 times or 5 times. So if you had a $10 winner and the bonus chip was a 5, you'd get $50. So I haven't done it yet, as you can see. I think I'm going to save that for a different video. Otherwise, this one will be long. And by the way, I believe I fixed the problem. Did I tell you yesterday? Yeah, but I'm going to tell you again, in case you didn't see the 2001 Space Odyssey video I did. I believe I have fixed the problem with ads in the middle of the relaxation video. So if you want to go back and watch one of your favorite older ones that you really liked, but you were jarred awake by some annoying, obnoxious ad, now you can, because the ad should only be at the beginning now. I had to go to a lot of trouble to get this fixed, and now I'm going back through my videos one by one. Everything in 2017 is fixed, and I will, over the next week, fix the rest of them, or try to. The ones that are further back. I think I started doing ASMR around 2014, so it's been a while, ever since Jodi Arias was convicted, thankfully, of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. which is the videos I used to do a long time ago. Now, I got a very special gift that I want to show you. I'm quite excited about it. Let me show you first of all. It came in this birthday hug bag. So I like that. And I just lost my train of thought. That happens sometimes on your birthday because you're 1 year older than you were before. Okay, anyway, so do you like the sound of, what do you call this kind of wrapping paper that you put in here? It's tissue paper, that's it. Tissue paper. I kind of like the sound of it. It's soothing and relaxing. But on these cameras, it will sound 3 times louder to you than it does to me, because the camera boosts the level of background sounds like that. So I gotta hold it way back here so that you don't get blown away by that sound. All right. So let's dig down in here and I'll show you. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I didn't peek in here already, because I did. But I opened this, but it was only a few minutes ago. So let's pull out the paper. And that's why I told you I'm excited, because I know what it is. Okay. So, however, this is still an unboxing video because I didn't take my gift out of its packaging or box yet. I'm waiting to do that, to discuss it with you as I do it. So here we go. This is the entire complete series of one of my favorite shows of all time, and in fact, when I was young, this was my favorite show of all time, Columbo. One of the most cleverly written TV series ever. And in the late 70s, when this, no, it was the early 70s, I'm sorry, when this came out, I believe it was the best written and most clever show on TV. So, and you had to wait 3 weeks for a Columbo episode because it was called the Sunday Night Murder Mystery Show, and they alternated between Columbo and McMillan and Wife and McCloud. So it was almost once a month that you got to see the show that was your favorite. So I would always wait for that. And there was no DVR or videotape or internet, option or downloading or any of that then. You either watched it live or it escaped you forever. Well, at the time it would be forever, but now we know we could go back and get them on DVD. But nobody knew that then. So for then forever was like 30 years later. Now you can get the DVD, right? So even more than that, isn't it? Let's see now, 73, yeah, we're talking 40 some years, 44 years later, wow. But the show holds up really well because the kind of plot lines that are in it really they're not time sensitive as to dates. So it never really goes out of date because the clever writing is great. Anyway, let me go find some scissors, or maybe I'll open this with my teeth. No, I don't. You know what? I don't need scissors because I have here, I think I told you in a much earlier video several years ago, this is a tool for writing or for Jodi Arias to use to stab her boyfriend. Either one. In this case, we're going to use it for a third purpose, which is to open our box set very carefully going like this, stabbing up into there, into the plastic. Oh, I think I can get that without causing too much of a racket. And then I will peel this off, and I'll tell you a little bit about the series Columbo. The first time I saw it, I had no idea what it was, and I wasn't much of a TV watcher at that stage in life. Very little. I didn't even have a TV. I would watch it at my mom's house. I had just moved out into a little studio that was next door, and I was 17 years old, I think. And yeah, I moved out early. And I sat down and thought, well, this looks boring, but I'll give it a try. I started watching it, and I was immediately hooked because the writing was so clever. Because Columbo, all of the murderers in his show, they're either a celebrity or a magician or a talented orchestra leader or a psychic or a movie actor or, somebody rich and famous. Whatever their major talent is, Columbo manages to cleverly employ that talent to snag them and trip them up and catch them in the end. Like one guy was a master of advertising techniques, and so he was using subliminal movie cuts to sell popcorn and soda and so forth, right? And, where they have that quick cut in the film of popcorn and a big drink with ice in it and things. And, in fact, I think that episode might have been called Subliminal Cut, I'm not sure. The murderer was Robert Culp, who used to be in a show called I Spy, with Bill Cosby. That shows you how old I am anyway. He was a master of advertising techniques. So he used in his murder, he wanted the guy he was going to murder to leave a screening. And so he gave him a bunch of caviar with salt and stuff that's very salty. Overheated the room he was in. He was creating an alibi or something. And then had these subliminal cuts that you don't see, they flash by too fast. And so the guy leaves the room to go find some water or a drink, and that's when he does the murder in order to have his perfect alibi. And at the end of that episode, you know what, I'm not going to do a spoiler for you, let's just say Columbo manages to use a subliminal cut to catch the murderer at his own game. And that's the way every episode was. Something like, very clear. So this has, there's 7 seasons here, it looks like. And it looks like I have some bonus features. There was a pilot movie made that aired after the show had become a success. It was called Prescription for a Murder, and in that pilot movie, made well before the series ever started, Lieutenant Columbo was there, and that was his first appearance as that character. Peter Falk's first appearance as Lieutenant Columbo, but his persona is quite a bit different. He was much more hard-edged, and he had an angry sort of aggression to him that you never see in the regular series because they changed his character some. And if you've never seen the series, the great thing about Columbo is that he's like this. He comes off as this bumbling character who doesn't know what he's doing, and he's all sloppy, and he's always got the same old raincoat on, and he pretends that he's, just a buffoon who, isn't much of a detective. But all that is a cover, because really he's a genius at figuring out the murderer and manipulating them into committing mistakes that get them caught. They always underestimate him, and that's his entire intention, sort of. So if we look at season 1, for example, so you'll see on the back, television's greatest detective, as well as one of its most loved, best loved characters. There he is with his rumpled raincoat, and he would always be thinking, right? And whenever he was dialoguing with the murderer, tripping them up, and they thought he was done with them, and he'd be walking out the door, or all the way out the door in many cases, he would always come back once they dropped their guard a little bit and say, just one more thing. I just wanted to ask you one more thing. I'm not going to try to imitate how he did it, because that wouldn't work. Let's see what episodes are on this first one. He had Robert Culpus, the murderer, multiple times. This one's called Dial M for Murder. Susan Plachette was in one. She was, of course, famous on the Bob Newhart Show. Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun movies was the murderer. Roddy McDowell from Planet of the Apes was the murderer in one. A lot of famous actors and actresses from the time and played the murderers on Columbo and did a pretty good job. Let's see. Season 2. The earlier Columbos, by the way, the series from the 1970s, was the first few seasons. Then they did a remake. He came back, he made a comeback in the 90s and started the season up again. The series, up again. But myself, I prefer the earlier ones. I think the writing and the acting was a bit better in the earlier series, even though it was a little cheesy from time to time. And Paramount had that kind of flattish look to the colors and stuff, which was a little strange, but that was common back then. Nonetheless, a lot of these were well done, and some of the later ones are really good. He always talks about his wife, Mrs. Columbo, but you don't ever see her in the series, of course. It's just him talking about her, and he always manages to get her into the episode somehow, a reference to her at some point. Like if he's talking to, say, the famous episode with Johnny Cash as the murderer, playing a country western gospel singer, he always says something like, Mrs. Columbo has all of your albums and she's your number one fan. He'll always make a reference to her in every episode. In the second series, in the 90s, he usually also had a big dog with him. What is that big, floppy-eared dog? A basset hound, that kind of scrapes the ground when it walks, and it always looks like it's an old guy who's retired. And it's really funny because he'll carry the dog around because it's so lazy. it won't even walk half the time. So, and they play that little dog tune in the series in various orchestral iterations, you know. Something about the dog bone, he has a knick-knack on my shoe, whatever that is. With a knick-knack, paddywhack, give your dog a bone. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so, it's kind of amusing. But the series is really great. I could tell you if I looked through some of these, yeah, Dick Van Dyke was the murderer in one of the earliest ones. And then again in a later one. Quite often, he would like a certain actor, and Peter Falk produced some of the episodes. He didn't direct too many of them. But they would bring the actor back again as a murderer, as a totally different character, though, in a future one, in a subsequent year in the seasons, and it worked really well. You didn't think of them the same way. They were pretty good at playing the new character. I think Leonard Nimoy, for example, was the murderer twice. I know Robert Cope was a murderer twice, and many other guys too. Even Captain Kirk was a murderer on there. What's his name? I'm going to have to consult the house ghost and see if the house ghost can... William Shatner. I can always count on the house ghost to remind me of things that my addled brain cannot remember. And so, Robert Conrad, yeah, he would wear this trench coat always, and it was all wrinkled and kind of, like somebody had thrown it in the washer but never dried it or hung it, just got it out and like hand wrung it and put it on. I wonder if they have the original pilot film. I'm gonna look and see. It was called Prescription for a Murder. If that is in this set, I'm gonna watch it tonight, because I don't think I've seen that full 2-hour film since I was probably 20 years old or something. And I just remember there was a really clever plot twist in it as well. Yeah, this one has Faye Dunaway. See, some very famous actors and actresses in the series. 13 Mystery Pack TV movies. See, remember I told you, he says, just one more thing. See, there's the tagline. Just one more thing. Right on the back there. So, you could do a great, one of those ultra cut sort of YouTube things where he just says it over and over in different clips from different films. If I wouldn't run afoul of copyright violation problems, I would do that for you, but I can't. Yeah. So I'm going to look for the one that's Prescription for... See, in the second series from the 90s, see how much older he looks there than in the earlier films, see, from the 70s to earlier seasons. So, we all age as we get older, I'm afraid. Some worse than others, I've aged a lot since I was 30, but other people, like my GF in Denmark, doesn't seem to age. She's 46 and she looks like she's 29, right? So she really does look very young for her age, but she has sent me something and it didn't arrive yet, but it will soon, I think. Goodies from Denmark. I told her I love Marabou chocolate. It melts in your mouth. Let's see what's in this one. Peter Falk, in his 4-time primetime Emmy-winning role. He won a lot of Emmys because he was so good at this character. And he took a very active role eventually, not just as the actor in the films, but in the productions, which are all like miniature movies, really. They were made as for a 90-minute slot, sometimes 2 hours with ads. So, yeah, it would either be 90 minutes or 2 hours. And I always loved sitting down and watching them on a Sunday evening when the once a month they came on. Now I have the luxury of being able. We never imagined this when I was young. When I was 18, 19 years old, I could never have imagined that all the Columbos would someday be watchable on some kind of recorded format. We didn't even have VHS tape back then, let alone DVD, let alone an internet, with downloadable, streamable films. So for a guy like me who's old, this is still amazing to me, It's like you were riding a horse and then someone gave you a car, So I'm going to really enjoy. I've got about 5 years of enjoyment here because, you only want to watch an episode now and then. So it's not the kind of thing you binge watch because the episodes are all standalone miniature movies. It's not required to see one after the other, like watching Dexter or something, where you need to know what happened last time. They're all standalone, and so that makes it very nice. You can watch any episode anytime. So I'm going to put these back in here for now, since we've been rambling for a half hour already. And then after I say goodnight to you all, I'm going to go hunting through here and see if I can find one of my favorite episodes to watch tonight. Especially, I'm going to look for Prescription for a Murder, because that was the pilot film, and I want to see it again. All right, everybody. I hope you had a good day. I hope my video will relax you now that I figured out how to prevent loud, bursting, obnoxious interruptions every 5 or 10 minutes. And there goes those geese again. Just listen for a second. That sounds like a frustrated male chasing an unwilling female to me. I know Canada Goose language just a little bit, even though I'm not fluent. So, yeah. I'll be back with more videos over the next little while. I have lots of stuff. I should try a tiny piece of this before I go and just tell you if it's any good. We'll do that in a future video because this one's gone kind of long already, all right? So take care, everyone. Don't ASMR and drive. And by the way, I'm also going to do an unboxing video soon of a gift that I bought myself, because sometimes you just have to buy yourself something. I got a big tax return this year, so I thought, I also won that poker tournament Saturday, so I said to myself, I'm going to get myself a little gift, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to come back and find out for yourself. All right. Don't ASMR and drive, and I hope you're asleep by now. If not, go back to the beginning and watch